Thank you so much for coming along today and coming to listen to my talk. My name is Alex Bowd and I'm the Group Head of Science here at Capital City College. So I oversee all of the science programmes that we do, and that includes all of our science programmes at Angel and also all of our science programmes at Enfield as well. So if you do have any questions, hopefully I should be able to answer them, but if not, we can always work out a way to get those answers to you at the end. What we're going to do then, and the way that this is going to work, is I am going to go through a presentation and I am going to give you some information about all of the different science qualifications that we do here at Capital City College. And I'll let you know if we run them at both centres or if we only run them at one of our specific sites. During this time, there is an opportunity for you to ask questions if you want to. If you look at the top of your screens, there should be a little Q&A button. So if you want to, you can put some questions into that, and at the end of the presentation, what I'll do is I'll come back to these questions and then I'll answer them, and hopefully that should answer questions for other people in here as well. So I'm not going to stop during the presentation. I'm just going to go back to those questions at the end, if that's okay with everyone. So we've had a few more people enter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack on. There's quite a lot of information to get through. So I'm going to talk about all of our different qualifications. So what I would thoroughly recommend is if you come along to one of our open days, and we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks' time, that will give you an opportunity to ask a few more questions in detail if there is anything that we haven't necessarily got to. So I am going to take my face off as well, so you'll be able to hear me, but you won't be able to see me. You'll just be able to see the screen that I am presenting. So all things going to plan, you should be able to see my presentation now, and you should be able to see the screen that I am sharing. So for those people who've just come in late, welcome. And what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is just tell you a bit about our science programmes here at Capital City College. So what we're going to be talking about today is all of the different programmes that we offer here. And that's a mixture of level 1 and level 2 programmes. We've got a couple of level 3 programmes to talk about today as well. That's our level 3 BTEC, as well as our T level in science. And I'm also going to talk about our GCSE resit package as well, because that sits under us here in the science department. So I'll explain what that course looks like and the entry requirements for that course as well. So the first course I'm going to talk about is our BTEC Level 1 in Science, and this is an introductory diploma, and that's a really important thing to understand about this qualification, is it is an introduction to the different sciences. So as it is an intro and we're looking at all of the different sciences together, you will do a mixture of different units on this qualification that really give you a bit of a taster for those different disciplines within science. So you'll do topics like exploring biology and chemistry. You'll also get the opportunity to carry out your own scientific investigation, your own experiments. You'll do some things looking at plants and animals using different technologies, and also a bit more detail in chemistry as well. But what's really nice about this programme is we also give you the opportunity to make sure that you're building up some of those additional skills which you may not have had at school, or you might not be particularly strong with. So about things about like researching topics, working with others, and developing your own plans to make sure that when you ideally progress with us, you've got some of those real fundamental skills before moving on. So with all of our programmes, and I'll be talking about this as I go on, it isn't just the vocational programme. So you're not just going to be doing your science qualification with us. You're going to be doing a tutorial programme as well. So you'll have a personal tutor who will work with you every single week to make sure that you're staying on track. All of our qualifications involve work experience, but on our level 1 programme, that work experience is all organised internally. There's also enrichment hours that you need to complete. And if you're going onto the level 1 programme, you're also most likely going to have to be resitting your GCSE English and Maths. But that's going to be built into your timetable. That's not on top of everything. And also that's going to be delivered by our specialist English and Maths team. So they're going to be there to be supporting you through those qualifications, whilst we're supporting you through your science qualification as well. So as our level 1 is an introductory diploma, the entry requirements for this are having a minimum of an entry 3 level in English and Maths, and ideally something in science as well. So this is for someone who potentially hasn't got those GCSEs for whatever reason, and this is that first step back into education if they have that interest in the sciences. So our second qualifications that we're going to talk about are our level 2 qualifications, and we do a level 2 award and we do a level 2 extended certificate as well, and they're very similar qualifications. The main difference is if you need to do maths and English, or if you need to redo maths or English. So it's just a slightly smaller qualification if you need to redo both of them. So, as I mentioned on the level 1, it isn't just your vocational studies, it includes a number of other things as well. So, like the level 1 programme, you'll be doing your tutorials, you'll also be doing work experience, and some of that is organised internally. So, our level 2 students this year, they all worked on a big project together, but then there are additional hours that you will need to sort out yourself. On top of that, like we said, there is enrichment hours, as with all of our programs. And on the level 2, again, realistically, you are most likely going to have to do some English or maths. If you need to redo both of them, you'll be going on to our level 2 award. If you need to redo one of them, you'll be going on to the extended certificate because it's a slightly bigger qualification. So this is a list of the different units that you'll be doing if you go on to one of our level 2 programs. Now you can see there's quite a lot of them. Some are bigger than others. But one of the main things that you probably will notice is that 2 of those, Unit 1, Principles of Science, and Unit 8, Scientific Skills, they both involve exams. Now, the vast majority of our BTEC programs, they are all internal coursework. So that means that you do coursework, you do homework, you work on your assignments, and then your staff here will mark that for you. Unit 1 and Unit 8, though, these are actually externally assessed exams. So like you would with your GCSEs, like you would with A-levels, you sit an exam, you go to an exam hall, that exam paper is sent off and it is marked. So although we deliver the content, you have a formal external exam for those 2 units there. But you can see that you will cover principles of science. So again, that's a bit more detail about biology, chemistry, and physics. But then you'll also go into a bit more detail specifically within those 3 disciplines. So you'll do things like chemistry in our earth, biology in the environment, and also applications of physical science as well as doing things like running your own project and also monitoring the environment as well. So you get a really well-rounded experience and a really well-rounded education in all 3 disciplines for considering what you want to do next. Now, our level 2 programs then, the entry requirements for this is 4 GCSEs at grade 3 or above, including English, maths and double science. So to get onto one of our level 2 programs, you need to have at least a 3 in English, a 3 in maths, and a 3 in science. Or the alternative is if you've already completed one of the level 1 qualifications. So if you've completed a level 1 qualification in applied science or a similar scientific subject, you can progress on even if you didn't get those GCSE results. So if you're applying for a level 2 or a level 3, you might have to start on a level 1 or a level 2 before progressing on to the next qualification. So I'm going to talk about our level 3 programs now. And first of all, I'm going to talk about our BTEC level 3 extended diploma. Now we have 2 extended diplomas here in the applied science department. We've got applied science and we've got medical science. Now, if you don't know, a level 3 extended diploma, that's a 2-year qualification and it's the equivalent of 3 A-levels. So we'll talk about entry requirements in a moment, but you can progress straight from your GCSEs straight onto a level 3 if you do have the correct entry requirements. But one of the questions we quite often get asked is what's the difference between applied or medical science and which is the right course for me? So the actual qualifications are quite similar. There's not huge amounts of difference. It ultimately comes down to what is your personal preference? What type of subjects do you like doing? What disciplines in science are your favourite? And also, what would you ideally like to be going on to next? That doesn't necessarily have an impact, but it's quite good if you do have a set idea already. Now, as I said, they're both extended diplomas. They're both the same level of qualification. But our medical science provision, our medical science extended diploma, that's a bit more focused on biology, and that's the real difference. So it's a biology focused program that allows you to progress onto HE degrees and HE courses, which are probably a bit more related to biology or the health sector. The difference, applied science has a bit more chemistry than the other one. So on the medical science program, we've removed some of the chemistry and we've put more biology in there. Whereas applied science is a general qualification where you do a third biology, a third physics, and a third chemistry. So it gives you a bit of an introduction into all three of them. So ultimately, they don't matter too much or they don't differ too much. But if your focus is on biology and your focus is on the health sector and that medical sector and things like that, then we do have that specific pathway, which is a bit more suited for you potentially. So again, exactly the same structure as our level 1 and our level 2 programs. You've got your vocational program, you've got your science program, and you've got your tutorials. The biggest difference here is your work experience. So you need to complete 70 hours of work experience a year, and that is all done externally. So none of that is done internally. We do have work experience officers who can help you find places and can support you in finding your placement, but you won't be doing it in college. You will be doing it at an external placement. But like the rest of our qualifications, enrichment is still a big part of that, and that is something that needs to be completed every year. So this is a breakdown of the units that you'll cover on our level 3 programs. So for both medical and applied science, you'll be doing principles of science, which is an introduction to all 3 topics, scientific skills, scientific procedures and techniques, and also lab techniques and their application. But you can see at the bottom, we do have some differences within the first year. So if you're doing applied science, you'll do genetics and genetic engineering, and you'll do microbiology. And if you're doing medical science, you will do human body systems and physiology and human regulation and reproduction as well. So there are some differences in the units that you will be taking depending on what course you do. Again, if you look at the unit assessment, Unit 1 and Unit 3, these are both externally assessed exams. So in your first year, you'll be doing 2 exams and everything else is coursework based. Now, we do our exams slightly differently here than you would do at school, or you would do if you do A-levels, and we do our exams in January. And the reason that we do that is we get all of the teaching for those 2 units out the way to begin with, and then you sit the exam in January. After sitting the exam, you get your results around March time. Our students have just got theirs back. And if you didn't pass, or if you didn't get the grades that you wanted to, you then get the opportunity to resit in the summer. So although it's quite a lot of work getting all of that teaching done before Christmas, what that means is you have a bit of a safety net, and then you have the opportunity to resit those exams if you want to make sure that you're getting the best grades that you possibly can do. Now, as I said, it is a 2-year program, and you do have to complete the full 2 years to pass the qualification. You can't leave after 1 year like you used to be able to. It's a full 2-year extended diploma. So if you sign up to this course, you are signing up for the whole 2 years. So in the second year, you'll carry on with principles of science. So you'll carry on with biology, chemistry, and physics. You'll run your own research project, and you will also do a unit called Contemporary Issues in Science, where we look at what's happening in the world of science at the moment. And again, you will have to sit some exams. So you'll sit some more exams in biology, chemistry, and physics, and you'll sit an exam in contemporary issues as well. Now, as you can see at the bottom, there's a few more differences in the second year units. So if you look at the medical science, you'll do microbiology and genetics like the applied science in the first year, but then you'll also do biomedical science and medical physics as well. Now, the big difference is on the applied science route. This is where you do a bit more chemistry, and you'll do applications of inorganic chemistry as well as practical chemical analysis. So if chemistry is something you're more interested in, then the applied science route is a bit more for you. You'll also still do biomedical science and medical physics as well. So there are BTEC programs from level 1 up to level 3. Another qualification that we've got coming in this year is the T level in science. And this is a brand new qualification that is going to be starting in September. They have previously run T levels in science, but this is a new qualification with Pearson, so the same organisation that run BTEC, and this is a brand new one which we're going to be starting in September. Now, because it's a new one, we don't necessarily have the same level of information that I do for the BTECs that we've been running for years. But if you don't know, a T-level qualification are new qualifications that follow on from GCSEs, and it's the equivalent to 3 GCSEs. So it's the same size qualification as our level 3 extended diploma, but the actual structure and the content is going to be slightly different. So T-levels combined theory, practical learning, and they're also made up of quite a huge industry placement as well. So it's really about getting some hands-on practical lab experience and actually getting your name out there in industry and working within that field. So the actual qualification itself is made up of your technical qualification, and so it's made up of that science component, and it's also made up of the industry placement. So over the 2 years, you need to complete 315 hours of work experience. So that's approximately, depending on how long your days are, 45 days of work placement over those 2 years. So it's a big chunk of the course, which is really giving you that hands-on experience. Now, this is the type of content which is going to be covered within the T-level. So you'll be looking at things like biological molecules and cell structure. You'll still be doing microbiology and also things like immunology as well, but you will be doing things like chemical reactions and the rates of those reactions, as well as including physics and things like waves, electronics, and it will also looking at things like genetic application as well. So you've got a huge amount of diversity about the different content which is going to be covered, but the delivery methods and your assessment methods are going to be different to the way they are on the level 3 BTEC as well. So this is one of the big questions we often get about T-levels. And if you go and study one of our T-levels in science, these are the type of degrees that you could be going on to do afterwards. So you could be going into higher education to do things like biomedical science or applied. You could do food science, nutrition, agricultural or environmental science. So there are a number of universities and degree programs that accept T-levels, but you could also potentially be going straight into work to do things like working in a lab, working as a biomedical scientist or a lab assistant or a food safety analyst or something like that. So there's a number of different things that you could be going on to after doing one of the T-levels. But this is just a bit of an idea here of some of the courses that our students have gone on to previously, either from T-levels or from our level 3 extended diploma as well. So some have gone on to do things like chemistry or pharmacy, pharmaceutical science, zoology, sport and exercise science, but it might also be other things like computer science or law as well. So some people decide that actually that after a couple of years, science isn't what they want to go into, they want to go into something else. But we have quite a lot of students who go into the health field, so things like physiotherapy or radiotherapy, nursing, paramedic science, or the more research side of things like genetics and microbiology or neuroscience as well. So we have a hugely successful progression rate from students starting one of our level 3 programs with us and then progressing on to higher education at some really top universities as well. So if you want to come onto one of our level 3 programs or our T-level, you will be looking at getting 5 GCSEs at grade 4 or above, including English, maths and double science. So if you don't pass English or maths in your GCSEs, you won't be able to progress directly onto the level 3. Same for science. But if you don't pass maths or English, you will have to retake that here. So you'll start on the level 2 or the level 1, and then you'll progress through, ideally onto the level 3 afterwards. And then again, if you start on one of the level 1s or the level 2s, then that also counts as a progression route onto the level 3. The final program that I'm going to talk about then is our GCSE resit package. Now, this is a really popular program. So just to make you aware how popular it is, we get a huge amount of applicants for this every single year. And so we have some really strict entry requirements for this. And actually the entry requirements are a little bit peculiar for this qualification. So this is a 1-year intensive program offering students a second chance to achieve and improve some GCSE results that they had in order to gain entry directly onto a level 3. So it might be moving directly onto A levels, or it might be onto a more technical course like a level 3 extended diploma or a T-level or something like that. But because this is part of the science department and because this is here on our science campus, ideally, the way that we run our GCSE resit package, this is more suitable for students who want to go on to study science later on. Not necessarily, but it is a bit more science focused than some other GCSE resit packages you could potentially find. So on this year intensive course then, you'll do 5 GCSEs, you'll do English language, psychology, maths, and then combined science. Now, a really, really important aspect of this is if you sign up to this package, you need to complete all 5 GCSEs. You can't just pick and choose the ones that you like, regardless of the grades that you get. So if you sign up to this package, you are completing all 5 of them, and you are being submitted, entered for those exams as well. So it isn't a case of, well, actually, I've got a 7 in maths and I only want to do some of the others. If you sign up to this, you are doing all of them and you have to attend all lessons for all 5 subjects. But again, tutorials, work experience, enrichment, this is part of all of our qualifications here. Now, the entry requirements are 5 GCSEs at grade 3 or above, including English, maths and science, but you will not be eligible for this programme if you have already achieved a full level 2 qualification. So what that means is if you've achieved a level 2 in something else, you wouldn't be eligible to do it. You also wouldn't be eligible to do it if you have 5 GCSEs at 4 or above, because that's also considered the same as a full level 2 qualification. So there's a very specific gap between getting 5 GCSEs at 3 or above and not too many above that either. So again, it's ideally suited for students who have just missed out on getting those GCSEs that they want to do. So the vast majority of courses are 3 days a week. If you have to do English and maths, that's usually maybe an extra half a day or a full day more, depending on what your timetable's like. But it's 3 or 4 days a week normally, but they are full days. They are longer days than school. So they're normally around 9:30 up until 4 o'clock. So they're long days at college. The other days are considered your study days. You have a huge amount of assignments to be working on. You've got work experience, enrichment. There's a number of other things that you need to be doing to be filling this time. So although you're only at college for 3-4 days, you still have a lot of independent work that needs to be done outside of that. And we have a college expectation that your attendance and punctuality doesn't fall below 95%. And that's not just because we're trying to be as strict and as harsh as possible, but that is also there to make sure that you are achieving the best qualification and the best grades that you can. So, like I said, we have got some open days coming up, and our next open day at Angel is on the 22nd of April. So if you do want to come along and ask us some questions in person, book your place on the website and come along and meet us in person, and then hopefully we'll be able to answer any of your questions. So I am going to stop talking there because I know that I have just given you a huge amount of information. And as I said at the beginning, if you guys have got any questions, you can put them in the question chat at the top. So at the top there is a little Q&A button or a little Q&A logo. So if you do have any questions, you are welcome to put them in there, and then I'll answer them to the group now. Equally, if you don't have any questions, that's absolutely fine. You are welcome to log off. What will happen at this point is after this, we will send you something called a conditional offer. Now, that conditional offer means that if you meet the entry requirements of that qualification, you are welcome to come and study here with us. If you have any additional learning support, we might ask you for a learning support interview. But other than that, meeting your entry requirements, we will then offer you a place here at college. So what I will do is I will hang around for a little while longer, see if you guys have got any questions. Feel free to put them in the chat, the Q&A bit at the top. But if not, I'll give it about 5 minutes or so, and then I will end the call. But up until that point, thank you all so much for coming. It's really nice to see so many of you come along to these talks. But if you don't have any other questions, you are welcome to log off, and I'll just keep an eye on the chat. So we've just had one question so far. Oh, that's two now. So if I apply for medical science, should I still apply for applied science if I want to change it and lose my conditional offer? No, it's absolutely fine. So because we're all one big department and there's a huge amount of overlap, if you've applied for one, don't worry, we can change it at the time. That shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, that'll be absolutely fine. What I'd say is if you've applied for one course and you want to change, when you come for enrolment in the summer, you'll be invited to enroll. Just explain there that you want to move to applied science or medical science or which way you want to go. So just let us know in enrolment and we should be able to change that for you. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then someone has also asked about the GCSE resit package. Is it like if you don't get the grades you wanted and you can retake them? Yes, ultimately it is. So if you don't get the grades and you want to go on to study A levels or level 3, but you want to do it ideally in science, you can resit them, but you can only resit them if you didn't get 4s in them. So if you got 5s and you wanted to resit for a 7 or 8, unfortunately you wouldn't be allowed to. It's only if you get a 3 or something like that that you would be able to resit them. So yes, it's if you've just missed out, but equally you could start on the level 2 and then progress onto the level 3 after that. So that's another alternative. Presentation. I believe the presentation will be sent out afterwards, yes. As far as I know, it does get sent out, yeah. So a few more questions have just come through. If you get a grade 3 in maths, can you do the level 3 extended diploma? No, not straight away. Because of the size of the qualification, the level 3 extended diploma is a bit too big to redo maths and English alongside it. So if you get a 3 in maths, but you get 4s and 5s and 6s and everything else, you start on the level 2 because you have to retake your maths. So you'll be retaking your maths alongside your science qualification before you progress onto the level 3 after that. What common work experiences people go on to when it comes to applied science level 3? A variety of different things. Quite a lot of our students go on and do work experience in places like pharmacies and things like that. Some people decide to do work experience not in actually a science related place, but actually that's okay too, because there are huge amounts of transferable skills that people can build on top of those things. So some students have gone to labs and things that can be a bit tricky if you're under 18, but there's a number of different places. But like I said, we've got those work experience officers who can help you find places as well. Is the reset GCSE package retaking your GCSEs to get a better grade? Yes, it is. So yeah, you're retaking them to get some better grades, but it's only those 5. You don't get to choose which GCSEs. Will the conditional offers be issued before getting a certificate? Yep, so you'll get offered a conditional offer, which means if you meet the entry requirements, then you get the place. You won't be offered an unconditional offer. It's only going to be conditional. So yes, you don't need your certificate for that, but then after your conditional offer, you will then get invited to enrolment in the summer, where we will then actually look at your grades and make sure that you've got the correct grades for the right course. So you should get your offer after this. So now that you've attended this, which is sort of our version of an interview, you will then you should get your conditional offer after that. So certificate. After retaking them and getting the grades I wanted, can I get into sixth form because I wanted to do A levels? So if you want to do A levels, I would apply for A levels as well, because you want to make sure that you get a place on those. You can apply for both. You can apply for multiple colleges. You can apply for multiple courses. So you could apply for A levels and you could apply for the GCSE resit package or the level 2 or the level 3, and then you could go to the one you wanted to, depending on what you get, depending on what grades you get afterwards. As I'm due to take my GCSE exams this year, but I've applied already, will I get a conditional offer before sending over my GCSEs? Yes. So again, it's a conditional offer. So you get it based on your GCSEs. So you tell us what course you're applying for, you'll get a conditional offer and we'll offer you a place if you get your GCSEs. If you don't get the grades that you want, we can find you a different course. So it isn't a case of if you apply for level 3, you don't get it, that's okay. We'll still find another course for you to go on to. But yeah, it's conditional, not unconditional. So level 3, you need grade 4 and above. Yes. So to get onto the level 3, you need a 4 in English, a minimum of a 4 in English, a 4 in maths, and a 4 in double science, and one more. So 5 GCSEs at grade 4 or above, including English, maths, and double science. Or if you've got triple science, that's also great. But yeah, minimum of double science and English and maths, and one other at 4. Will the supplied course be good for doing forensics in the future? So yeah, absolutely. We do have some students who go on to do forensics. Equally, we do also have a forensics department here. So you can do a level 3 in forensic science. So you could go on to that if that's what you wanted to do. If you're not positive that that's what you want to do at university or in the future, then applied science is quite a good one because it's quite a general qualification that covers all of the different disciplines. So it's not quite as focused on medical, or it's not as quite as focused as forensics. But we do have a forensics department that you can apply for. But some of our students do study applied and then go on to do forensics afterwards. So someone has said, you've applied to Angel Sixth Form to do biology and chem. So after retaking them, can I get into the sixth form here? That would be a question for the sixth form staff. So I don't know the specific entry requirements for the A levels, but that's something you would have to double check with them. So if you email someone over on the A level side or anyone in admissions, they should be able to tell you about the entry requirements for those ones over there. Do you need to pass all your sciences to get onto the level 3 course? Ultimately, yes. We would consider some things. If you're doing double science, though, you obviously only get 2 grades, and those 2 grades cover all 3 disciplines. So if you're not particularly strong in one of the sciences, your other grades might pull that up. So even if you don't do particularly well in chemistry, say, but you've done really well in physics and biology, and then overall your grades are 4s or 5s, that's absolutely fine. If you do triple science, we would consider it if you don't pass all 3, but we would have to look at the rest of your grades as well, and we would have to look at those options. But it wouldn't definitely be a no. But ideally, yes, we do want you to have passed all of the sciences because you will be doing all 3, no matter which qualification you do go on to. Do you need 5 or 4 GCSEs? So to get onto the level 3, you need 5 GCSEs at grade 4, but 4 of them have to be English, maths, and double science. So English, maths, double science, and 1 extra at grade 4, because it's a big qualification. Like, it's the equivalent of 3 A levels. So we need to make sure that you're going to be able to cope with that level of science and also the quantity of work as well. So level 3 is 5 GCSEs at grade 4 or above, including English, maths, and science. Can you repeat the bit about forensics in the future? So if you want to go and do forensics, we do have a forensics department here, so you can do a level 3 extended diploma in forensics. If that is 100% what you want to do, there is a forensics level 3. If you're not sure, you can study applied science and then go on to do forensics at university. So if you want to keep some of your options a bit more open and you want to explore the physics and the chemistry and the biology side of things as well, but maybe progress on to forensics, that is an option. But if 100% forensics is what you want to do, we do have a level 3 here in forensics that you could do. But one thing that I would say is forensics is a very oversubscribed qualification. So if you do want to do forensics, get your application in and also make sure you are here early for enrollment in the summer. Can you get onto the level 3 with only 2 sciences? So if you've got double science, then yes. If you haven't done any physics at all, we would need to have a look at everything else. And we would need to look at your qualifications individually, which is probably something that we would do at enrollment, because what we don't want to do is to put you onto a level 3 if you're going to struggle with the physics, and this is going to affect your overall grade. Because on the level 3, you don't get separate grades at the end of it for the different sciences. You get overall qualification grades. So you don't want to fail units because that also might result in you failing the whole qualification. So if you have absolutely no physics experience whatsoever, we might have to look at whether or not the level 3 is suitable, and maybe to start on the level 2 just to make sure that you can build up some of that physics knowledge before going on to the level 3. Any job experience, can you work at a hospital? Yeah, you can go and do your work experience in a hospital. If you can get a place there, yeah, absolutely. That would be a fantastic place to do your work placement. So yeah, that would be a great place to do so. So the questions seem to have slowed down a little bit now, and I can see that a few people have left. If you want to log off, like I said, you should be getting your email in your office soon. So thank you very much. Equally, if you've got any questions, I can stick around for a few more minutes and I will answer any of those for you. But otherwise, once again, thank you very much for attending. And if you don't have any questions, hopefully we will be either seeing you at an open day or we will be seeing you in September. So someone has said, if doing applied science, will it help you get into medical school? So if you want to study medicine to become a doctor, A levels is a better route, ideally. It is possible to do so from an applied science route, but it does tend to be a longer path because you'll then have to do foundation years and you might have to do some additional qualifications afterwards. The best thing that I would suggest is to look at the different medical schools, look at the different universities, look at their entry requirements, and look at what is the best route for you. But generally speaking, if you want to study medicine and actually go on to be a doctor, the best route and the most straightforward route is completing A levels first. So that would be my recommendation. There are other careers within the medical industry that applied or medical science really supports and goes on really well, but actually training to become a doctor, A levels is always a more straightforward route. Right, I think that's probably everything then. Nothing else seems to be coming through. Oh, no, another one. If you're looking for forensic science, would you do work experience for it? And where would that be? So yeah, if you, again, work experience within forensics isn't something that I know enough about. My background's not in forensics, and because I don't work on the forensics qualification, I don't know enough about the places that they would potentially go. But again, absolutely, you could go and do work experience, something to do with forensics. I would imagine if you're looking at something sort of a bit police related, age might have an effect on that. So if you're under 18, you might struggle to find something within those kind of industries, but that's something the forensics team would have better information about than I would, I'm afraid. Right, we will leave it there then. So again, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Come along to one of our open days, but just double check the calendar, 22nd of April. So if you want to come and see us in person, 22nd of April is our next open day. But if not, we will hopefully see you soon.